Oh, hey there.
Oh, hey there. I like how you do that, and then you open your beer, and it's like, let's just not talk anymore. Wow.
Welcome to the Origin of Weird by the History Buffoons.
Hey.
The History Buffoons.
I'm Bradley,
I'm Kate.
and let's find out something weird.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I have a molasses cookie
Oh, I know.
with ice topping. Oh my God. From Festival.
So delicious.
Holy smokes.
I love how we keep mentioning these in our episodes.
It's so good.
Yep.
Holy smokes.
Holy balls.
Oh my. What you drinking?
I'm having a beverage.
Cutwater Tiki Rum Mai Tai.
I really didn't want to bring that up because this is going to come out 2 weeks after the one we just had this on.
It's fine. Cutwater Tiki Rum Mai Tai.
We had 2 left over from our episode
Sure
2 weeks
fucking
ago. Anyways,
It's not seltzer.
a week and a half ago, I should say. It's
Okay.
not seltzer. We learned that, 12.5%.
How
and
are
let's
you?
move on. I am well. How are you?
I'm eating a cookie, so I want you to talk some more.
Okay, so what I'd like to say is that Kate likes cookies. And she's currently eating one. And back to you, Kate.
Okay, so here we go.
All right, so I'm going to keep talking because, good Lord, that was terrible.
How was your week?
My week has been okay.
I'm still chewing, so
You
keep
really
going.
want me to say more, and I'm purposely giving minimal. So,
Okay, so we have an origin of a weird story.
how was your week?
Well, I've been sitting on this story for about 3 weeks,
Yeah, because we...
maybe 2.
We don't know.
We don't know. Okay, so
Yeah.
sometimes we do well with planning topics in advance,
Okay.
and occasionally we'll squeeze in something
Yes.
if it's pertinent to the time,
Yes.
aka the Derby.
Correct.
We squeezed in a little bit of the Derby,
Yeah,
history
so-
of the Kentucky Derby for you.
Thank you for everyone who listened to that. That was one of our best episodes
Yes.
in terms of downloads. So we
Yeah.
appreciate everyone who actually listened to it. And thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, so this is an episode, or today's topic has been around for a couple weeks now,
Yeah.
and just kind of waiting to be talked about. So
Yeah.
this is about Halley's Comet
Oh.
and the anti-comet pills. Oh, I'm going to go into it.
I hope so, because what the fuck?
Okay, so Halley's Comet, you know
Yes.
of.
Comes out every 75 years.
70, you're right. It's either 75 or 76, depending on the time frame.
Give or take, yeah.
But yes, and it has all sorts of superstition,
Yeah.
much like Joey Ortiz on the Brewers shaving his mustache. Shout out to our last episode. Fast forward
Nope. Not our last episode, but yep.
in our future episodes.
Nope.
Future.
Definitely not that either. It's even less that than
Okay,
our
it's
last
either
episode.
our future episode or our last episode.
2 episodes ago, by the time this comes out.
Son of a bitch. Haley's Comet.
Yeah, 75 or 76 years.
Yeah. And it leads to all sorts of superstition. So fast forward to, or rewind, I guess, or rewind to the 1990s, 1900s, my bad, but the 1900s.
I mean, 1990s were in the 1900s.
But the 1900s, astronomers had actually figured out when it would be back.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's going to come around in 1910.
Because it was around in 1986, right?
Yes,
I remember it.
let's say that.
85, 86.
I'm sure I say it later on in the episode that I don't remember because it's been a couple weeks.
I'd like to say I believe you, but
But they even calculated that Earth would pass right through the tail around May 18th or May 19th of that year.
oh,
Now, this led to a big public outcry.
because
People are superstitious.
did they drink the Kool-Aid?
Oh, they drank the Kool-Aid. That
Was it
is
grape
that is
flavored?
a great idiom as well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jim Jones and the Colts. Sure.
What?
Do you know what drink the Kool-Aid means?
What? Tell
Okay,
me.
so Jim Jones,
Who is what?
He was a self-proclaimed reverend that had a cult in, I think it was California.
You're saying cult, right?
Yeah.
Not cult? Because every time you say it, you say cult. That's what confused me. You keep saying cult. I'm like, what the fuck is
cult.
that? There it is. Jesus. I'm like, he had a horse? What the shit?
A cult.
Still too close to cult, but all right. Let's run with it. Holy shit. Because, like, I know where it's from.
Okay,
but you said Jim Jones and his cult. But you said cult. And I'm like, what? Oh my God.
It's like how I pronounce root beer. I don't pronounce it root beer. I pronounce it root beer.
A lot of people call it root beer.
Yeah.
Or root beer.
Nathan always.
Nobody calls it colt or cult. Or cult or cult.
Okay.
So.
Jim Jones had a cult in Ghana. Africa? South America. Ghana, South America.
You're the one who's doing the story, not me.
Ghana, South America.
Yeah.
And he had everybody commit suicide by Kool-Aid.
Did they have cults there? In their cult?
Stop it.
Okay.
Okay. We are talking about Halley's fucking comet.
Fuck yeah, we are.
Okay.
Halley!
Represent.
Yeah.
Okay, so in February 1910, scientists used a technique called spectroscopy.
Spectroscopy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And found cyanogen, a poisonous gas.
Oh, dear.
In Halley Comet's tail.
How did they find that? That's in space, and they weren't in space in 1910.
Spectroscopy.
So
that's how, okay?
Are you going to go into that?
Fuck no. So even though these scientists knew the gas was super thin and on a very large scale, meaning not concentrated, the public only heard the word poison.
Of course they did. Especially back in 1910.
Yes. So you can imagine the newspaper headlines. They were screaming about deadly gas heading straight for the earth. Something like that. I don't know.
Was this newspaper from Transylvania?
Transylvania heading straight for Earth.
No, Transylvania was already on Earth.
Okay. So,
anyways.
So apparently a really well-known French astronomer named Camille Flammarion. Camille Flammarion.
Can we stop saying his name?
He was quoted as saying that the Earth went through the comet's tail and our whole world would be filled with
poison?
Cyanogen gas, possibly snuffing out all life on Earth. Why the fuck would you tell newspapers that? Possibly snuffing out all life on Earth.
Can I answer the question why he would say that? Because he wanted to be famous.
Fucking panic mode.
No shit. Because, especially in 1910, can't just like, is he fucking real? Google that shit.
Googles that shit.
Obviously can't do that. You only get your news from what avenues of news you get, which is typically newspapers back then. It's not like you had TV. You couldn't tune into channel whatever and get the local news.
Channel 4.
Or 6.
CNBC,
or 7 or 9.
ABC,
I mean, we can go every number if you'd like, but we're not going to. But no, so they took in the news with the mediums they had, which was typically newspaper.
Newspaper, telegrams.
So, fuck y'all, dude, for causing a mass hysteria.
So, Flammarion...
All right, stop with that.
He actually did try to clear things up, saying that it was an unlikely situation, but more of a what if thought.
So,
but the newspapers were like,
yeah, we're going to run with that other.
We're going to run with the scary stuff.
Yeah, because that's way more. That's going to sell more papers, dude.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Sorry, but not sorry.
So, comets, if you will. Okay, here. Comets, if you will, had a spooky reputation. Throughout history, people link them to wars,
dragons,
plagues,
dragons,
hello Black Death.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. There was a comet before the Black Death.
Yeah, we did that episode. I also brought up dragons in that episode.
Sure.
Game of Thrones. It's really not relevant.
So Halley's Comet in 1910 started up all those old fears. Plus, a few months before, another comet called the Great Daylight Comet.
Was it really bright?
Must have been.
Oh, you don't know?
It showed up out of nowhere and was super bright, which already had people on edge.
I literally just said, oh, is it really bright? May have been. And you're like,
it's been several weeks since I've read this.
I understand. That was fucking amazing. Wow.
Way back in 1907. So 3 years prior.
Oh my God. That's so long ago.
Headlines were already asking things like, will the coming hold on. There's a lot of alliteration here. Will coming comet collide with Kurth?
Kurth?
I put the C in myself. It literally said, will coming comet collide with Earth? And I said, will coming comet collide with Kurth?
We were there. We heard you. That was a bit much.
Okay, the beverage that we're drinking
is 12.5%.
12.5%. Can you tell?
We went over that 2 episodes ago.
I'm so sorry if you can tell.
You're really not that sorry.
Okay.
I have to drive home after this.
Shut the fuck up. You were cut off.
Oh. Hold on while I slam the rest of
the... As Halley's Comet got closer in the spring of 1910.
Yeah.
Things really went into overdrive with the media and the public, and scary news stories and people's fears were like feeding off of each other like wildfire.
Right.
Idiom.
Like wildfire?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I feel like that one speaks for itself.
Lots of newspapers were running these crazy, alarming articles about how dangerous the comet was, and that just made people around the world even more panicked. You saw all sorts of reactions from people trying to be practical and getting ready to others just completely fucking losing it.
Yep.
Losing their fucking minds.
Lost their shit. Big newspapers like the New York Times actually repeated that scary prediction from Flammarion. About life. Is that what you said?
Flammarion, my bad.
Because you said filet mignon.
I sure fucking did.
That sounds delicious right now.
Flammarion. About all life being snuffed out. Okay?
I don't like the sound of that.
So they even talked about these totally wild breeder stories, like the ocean sloshing out of their basins because of the comets, and stories that were right on the front page really pushed this idea of the world ending.
Isn't it? I mean, again, we're talking about 1910, so I obviously get it. But isn't it just wild? At that time, they thought the ocean was literally going to slosh out of its fucking spot. I mean, again, they don't know better. Kay crossed her eyes. She took a sip of her beverage.
It's very potent. Potent.
But isn't it just amazing that, like, oh man, that's just going to all come up on here now.
I know.
That's going to be empty, but it's all going to be up here. We're going to be under feet of water.
Churches all over Europe and America are filled with terrified people.
Can you blame them, though? I mean, they don't fucking know better.
They don't know better.
Seriously, they're just like,
it's salvation.
End of the world. Mm-hmm. You know, I got to itch my ear.
People were trying to get their spiritual lives in order, thinking that it was the end. In Rome and Paris, churches stayed open all night while Earth was
just
supposed
to take in the people, because shit, we need people want to give their confessions or whatever, blah blah blah. Wow,
and we're about to be passing through the comet's tail.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of people gathered at St. Peter's Square just to pray for salvation.
Basilica? Yeah.
It's like the Pope was just reelected or whatever the fuck they do.
I mean, he wasn't just like, he was.
Elected, not re-elected, but like elected. Yeah,
he wasn't real. He didn't go for a second term.
Sure.
You get elected until you die or you resign, because we've had, one pope resign? I think he was, 2 popes ago? But he had like some health issues or some shit. I don't remember. Doesn't matter.
So.
Anyways.
It's wild to think about like these things people did to try to protect themselves at home.
Right.
Okay, so we're talking about comet-proofing their lives. Comet-proofing their lives.
Okay, that's a little clearer, because the first time was really like drunkard sounding.
Proofing their lives.
Yeah, I got that. Oh, Jesus, fuck.
Stop itching your ear and it won't happen.
Stop telling my ear to itch. And I wasn't itching my ear, I was scratching my ear because I had an itch.
So people would seal up their windows and doors, stuffing rags and paper into any little crack to keep the quote unquote toxic gas out.
You used what you had, so I get that.
Some families even went down to. Go ahead.
Did they not have any caulk?
I don't know.
They could have caulked it up.
I don't know if they have caulk.
They could have filled it up with caulk and it would have been fine.
But some people went down to their basements and wore wet towels over their faces.
Did they just think that wouldn't
as like makeshift gas masks?
Right, that's what I was going to say. Okay, makes sense. I mean, I get that. So.
Hey, look, listen to this. People in the U.S. were caulking their homes. I literally, it was 2 sentences later.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I haven't read this in 3 weeks.
Stop with that. I understand that. That's just fucking hilarious that I brought that up. I am okay with you haven't read this in a couple weeks. I get that. Or 3 weeks, whatever. But that's fucking funny.
Yes, they were caulking.
They's like, hey, man, we need to caulk our windows, caulk our doors. Mm-hmm. Shout out to JFK.
And of course, sales of actual gas masks shot way up.
Do you think anyone bought those old, what was the plague doctor masks?
Well, it wasn't mentioned. It was mostly gas masks.
That would be fucking fantastic, though. So
it wasn't just about being cautious. People really panicked, and led to some really sad and bizarre things.
Can you blame them, though? Because this paper said, hey, man, we're all going to die because this fucker said it's all poisonous, and we're going through its tail, so we're all going to die. I mean, to cause that mass hysteria, it's like, and I get it. It's 1910. I understand. They don't know the science behind it or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But people have been around for a long fucking time. Mm-hmm. We're not going to get taken out until a fucking meteor hits our goddamn, like a giant fucking meteor hits our planet or some other just ridiculous thing. Mm-hmm. But they didn't know that. So they panicked and they started being like, how do we save ourselves? They thought shit like that. So it's wild to think of that because we know so much more today than they did 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. But holy fuck, that would have been scary as fuck. Just being like, oh my God, we're going to die.
So you want to know what some of the things are that came out of this hysteria?
I would love to.
Anti-comet pills.
Who came up with that?
I don't know.
What the fuck?
But it was probably the biggest scam.
Was it the government?
So there were basically medical patent pills that were advertised as a cure for the comet's poison.
So, okay, keep going.
It was harmless, but I read that a lot of them were just sugar or quinine.
Well, so that's
no special powers.
That's the problem is the pharmaceutical industry, which I don't agree with personally, and to each their own on this, there are some benefits that come out of it, is full of shit. They want to sell you something.
They're selling sugar pills.
Yeah, you could have fucking made that at home.
Yes.
They didn't need to sell it to you, and fucking somebody got rich off that shit because of the hysteria and the panic that fucker caused.
And some of them were arrested for fraud.
Good, because they should have been, because that is horse shit.
Yes.
There's so many pills even today that it's like, why are those on the market? You look at all those commercials that'd be like, don't take this if you have whatever, because it could cause death. It's like, cool.
Yeah.
But my skin's going to look a hair better than it used to.
So there was also anti-comet elixirs.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Pharmacists offered a special Halley's Comet elixir, basically just colored liquid, claiming that it would fight off poisonous gases.
See, those people should be shot in the fucking street.
Also completely useless.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
And then get this, anti-comet umbrellas.
What the fuck? You can't stop a fucking comet with an umbrella.
Inventors were trying to sell these as protection from falling debris or other nasty stuff coming from comet's tail.
Isn't it sad how gullible people are?
Mm-hmm.
Because people bought that shit.
Yes.
Because why else would that be even in your story? If no one bought that, there's no reason that would be in your story. But people did. And those people should be also shot in the street.
All sorts of businesses were advertising respirators and masks that were guaranteed to filter out the poisons.
See, they shouldn't have guaranteed that, because can we file a class action lawsuit against them?
The funny thing is, no special mask was really needed at all, since the comet's gas was way too spread out to really hurt anybody.
Yeah, it was all fake.
Mm-hmm. After May 19th, people realized that the only thing those masks did was make the sellers richer.
Exactly. So they fucking caught on?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
But there was also insurance brokers,
fuck,
in Los Angeles, who would offer comet insurances.
That's horseshit.
He would promise to pay out $500 to your family if Halley's Comet killed you.
That is complete and utter fucking fraud.
At least 50 people signed up for this.
That I feel bad for those 50 people. At least 50 people.
But also the taverns. The taverns took advantage of this.
All right. This I back.
Bartenders, either as a joke because they were clever, started telling customers that drinking was a way to protect themselves. The idea that if you had enough whiskey or gin in your system, the comet's poison could not get to you.
Okay. That is genius.
Drink for your health.
Not for your wealth.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And some of the news coverage actually ended up being like free advertising for these scams.
Of course.
They took stories about voodoo doctors selling comet pills. They would list all different kinds of people buying them and how much faith they had in the product. So like a resounding endorsement.
Yeah.
You would read things like, they are well packed with comet pills, and that was you could sell them as fast as you can, and it creates this feeling that you needed to hurry up and buy some more.
Right.
Otherwise, it's too late. You would miss out on the safety.
Right.
And then there were some businesses who would advertise around the comet. So not necessarily like talk about the comet.
Right.
But Pear's Soap, for example, had this famous magazine ad, and it is part of our social media, in 1910 that actually showed Halley's Comet in the picture.
Okay.
But the slogan was, Halley's Comet appears but once in 75 years. Pear's Soap is visible day and night, every day of the year, all over the world.
Wow.
So it doesn't really like play on the scarcity or anything,
or the scare
tactics. Yeah.
It just used it in its advertising, saying,
yes,
this shows up once, we're there every day.
Yes.
Is what it's saying. Okay. I mean, I get that. That's fine. To me, that's fine. The whole, like, let's utilize and sell shit based off of a fucking lie, basically, is what's irritating.
Yes. So another big product of why those fake comet products did so well was that back in 1910, they weren't really strong. There weren't really like strong laws to protect people from scams.
No, and I get that. Again, different times, so it makes sense.
They had Pure Food and Drug Act, if you used earlier, to try and stop false medical claims, but it was still pretty new.
Sure.
And wasn't really enforced very well.
Right.
So these con artists would like sell their bogus comet cures before anyone in charge could really step in.
Yeah, they tried to make a quick buck before anyone could stop them, basically. Yeah.
And then think about the communication back then. They didn't have radio or TV, no internet. It took them a long time for people to
catch on to their scam.
To get accurate information and prove these rumors wrong. Exactly.
And or to just literally catch on to the scam, because it took weeks back then, probably certain areas of the states and whatever. So that's bullshit.
So when Halley's Comet finally zipped by in May 1910, the Earth passed right through its tail, noting nothing bad at all. No one got poisoned. The world didn't end. The only real result was a pretty amazing light fucking show in the night sky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And pretty soon, the public panic faded away, and so did those fucking gadgets.
See, and that's what sucks, is that those people made a quick buck, and some of them, honestly, got rich off of it for nothing.
For nothing.
Literally nothing.
Nope.
But it would have came back the year you were born then. 85?
85?
Or the year after you were born. Do you not have when it came back? Because I remember it when I was a kid. Like, very vaguely. I remember it when I was a kid.
Yeah. I vaguely recall.
I reached out to Kate's parents here. Do you remember?
The last one was February 9th of 1986.
Yeah. So you would have been...
less than a year old.
Yeah, 7 months old or whatever.
The very next one is going to be July 28th, 2061.
I'd like to say I'd be around, but I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's the anti-comet pills of 1910.
So it's snake oil for comets.
Absolutely.
Basically. And
yeah, absolutely.
There's a million ways to die in the West, and that's one of them.
That's one of them.
So,
welp.
I suppose. All right, buffoons, that's it for today's episode.
Buckle up, because we've got another historical adventure waiting for you next time. Feeling hungry for more buffoonery? Or maybe you have a burning question or a wild historical theory for us to explore?
Hit us up on social media. We're History Buffoons Podcast on YouTube, X, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also email us at historybuffoonspodcast@gmail.com. We are Bradley and Kate. Music by Corey Akers.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts and turn those notifications on to stay in the loop.
Until next time, stay curious and don't forget to rate and review us.
Remember, the buffoonery never stops.